and the person who was picked as like ambassador to Denmark, which owns Greenland, is like a Teal associate, and they tweeted all is going according to plan after that guy got picked to be the ambassador to Greenland. So it really looks like it really is like, let's do rank imperialism and colonialism, and we're doing it on behalf of our billionaire robber baron donors.
Did you read Naomi Klein's piece on end times fascism that was in The Guardian? Because it fits with this as well. So her analysis is basically, you know, all these billionaires, the Peter Thiels of the world, et cetera, Mark Zuckerberg as well. For a while, they had this plan of we'll buy our land in New Zealand. Like basically the societal collapse and climate crisis and all of these things are coming together and I need an escape hatch. So I'm going to buy my land in New Zealand. I'm going to have my personal bunker. I'm going to be okay and I'm going to be able to ride it out. And then as they sort of thought through those plans, effectively it was like, well, actually, I don't know, you know, if you really do have that level of sort of catastrophic planet and civilizational collapse, just having a lot of money is probably not going to work out. So part of the ideology of grabbing Greenland, annexing Canada, Panama, all of these things, it's almost like the national equivalent of the prepper movement, where it's I'm going to secure what I need in case shit goes wrong. And by the way, these are the people who are at the forefront of destroying civilization with AI and the way that not only fuels a potential, you know, devastating impact on humanity and could cause complete tumult as labor is replaced, but also is incredibly destructive to the climate. So these guys have a very dystopian view of the future. Like they expect things to be bad. Elon Musk is planning to escape to Mars. You know, they expect shit to go really, really bad. And so the goal of accumulating these territorial assets is, like I said, basically the national equivalent of some doomsday prepper strategy. And that's where Greenland and Canada and these other, you know, territorial acquisitions kind of comes into play.
I mean, if this is really the idea of, you know, Elon Musk and some other people around him, to me, that's almost better than it being Trump's idea himself. Because Trump is, again, a very unpredictable guy. If Elon Musk is no longer going to be as aligned, or I should say as involved in day-to-day what's happening in the White House, then maybe someone else gets in Trump's ear and they have a different idea and they'll do something different. Like, so there's, you know, I have to look for glimmers of hope here, because the idea of just allowing these sorts of individuals, these disgusting people, just to do whatever the hell they want to preserve themselves at the expense of everyone on the planet is just, there's more of us than them. Like, we can't possibly allow this to continue. And that's why, you know, I've been inspired by seeing the massive crowds that Bernie and AOC are getting. There's clearly energy to combat what Trump is doing, and it's good to see it from the U.S. and, you know, of course, around the world, we are disturbed by Trump. But to see that energy within Americans, this desire to get rid of this cancer, you know, that's only going to grow. Especially as things get worse and people are feeling the effects of the trade war, of just their daily lives and the cost of everything going up. You hope that there's going to be a clear rejection of what this administration is fighting for.
Yeah, it's the only hope because, yeah, Canada on its own, like Canada just operating on it, is screwed. Like you said, screwed. But you put together the entire rest of the world.
Yeah, there's solidarity in the rest of the world.
The Trump administration has been aggressively trying to like piss off and turn against the U.S.
We ruined all of our relationships are ruined, every single one.
Yeah, and then you start to I could see how this works out. But it's only through that like collective global solidarity that there's any prayer. And you know, it's so disturbing to me how we just truly have thrown out the entire post-World War II order. Not that order was perfect, not that it didn't have many problems with it, but for an embrace of law of the jungle, might makes right. I've got a bigger military. If I want to take it, I can take it. And that's what that's what the Trumps and the Peter Thiels and the Elon Musks of the world and the Netanyahus of the world, that's what they believe, right? That if you've got the bigger guns, then, and you can, then that's the only thing that matters. Laws, norms, international law, certainly humanitarian concerns, like none of that rates.
It's really a throwback. I mean, the Magna Carta was in 1215. They're getting rid of due process. They're trying to take us back to the year 1200, right? It's a robber baron coup. It's a fascist takeover. To the extent, if it doesn't work, we only have their colossal stupidity and incompetence to thank for that.
David, one thing I wanted to ask you about is I'm sure you probably saw a few high-profile scholars on fascism leaving the U.S. for Canada. Jason Stanley, Timothy Snyder, and Snyder's wife have all said, for now, we're out of here. There's been some pushback to that, even from the left of saying, like, you're not supposed to obey in advance, and that's a little bit of what you're doing by going to Canada. But, it was interesting to me hearing Jason Stanley talk about it, and he really identified Canada as sort of a bulwark or a beacon of, commitment to Bill of Rights style values, and as a bulwark, against fascism, a place that could be a sort of safe haven for intellectual dissidents. And I wonder if, how you see that, and if there is a self-conception in Canada that is, that is consistent with Jason Stanley's understanding.
Yeah, I definitely think we take pride in even something as basic as our elections, where there was no, even after Pierre Poilievre lost, the Conservatives lost, there was no real questioning of the results of the election by anybody. Of course, there's going to be conspiratorial individuals that are always going to have conspiracies. But in terms of any real narrative, there was nothing around questioning the results of an election. We really have this. Look, Canada's not perfect, of course, but I do believe we have always viewed ourselves, and you could also think or say this is maybe a detriment to us, but viewed ourselves as a little bit ahead of where the U.S. is. So, which can help us in some ways be viewed as this beacon of hope and this bastion for democracy. But in other ways, it also sort of limits our ability to think bigger, because our healthcare system, while it's universal, while there are aspects of it that is fantastic, when there's a problem here, it's like, well, at least not the U.S. healthcare, which sure, but should that be the bar for what we expect out of our own healthcare system? So there's sort of some complacency in just what we, on what we view government doing, where we can, I think, strive a lot higher. That said, I have seeing a professor leave the U.S. because of because he essentially can't teach freely, I think makes perfect sense. I don't think it's obeying ahead of time. It's somebody who literally can't do his job, or is worried he can't do his job properly in America, and wants to go to a place where he can continue fighting the administration, but doing it from a place where he's actually able to speak freely. So to me, I think that makes total sense. But yeah, I only hope that Canada can live up to the way that we are perceived, because again, we have issues, but I do think, especially in this time, considering we were the U.S.'s closest neighbor, I think a lot of countries are looking at Canada to see how to move forward in this situation. And I'm glad that we have a prime minister who has dealt with crises and hopefully can help us deal with this one as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just safer to call out the fascism from not in the belly of the beast of the fascist. I mean,
yeah,
we feel it here too, especially when you look at all of the pro-Palestine voices that have been rounded up and being held indefinitely. Rumeysa Ozturk, who just wrote a mild op-ed criticizing Israel. Mahmoud Khalil, of course, anti-genocide protester, was very kind and not at all anti-Semitic or pro-Hamas, according to every single report. And it's just so easy to imagine. Once due process is gone, it's gone for everybody. Because how would you prove, hey, I'm a good guy, I'm an American, or what? You can't. Once due process is gone, it's gone. So the fact that they're willing to round up, I mean, you guys all saw this. There was a 4-year-old American citizen with cancer who they deported with no medicine. Like, if they're willing to do that, they don't give a fuck about any of us individually. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so the idea of people fleeing, it's like, it's not just a self-preservation thing. It's also, I think of it as, Well, they could still call out the fascism and try to do everything they can to change it, but just do it from effectively a fortress, as opposed to doing it from where, the fascist is right next to you waiting to drag you out,